Hot dog, what an acting choice from Chris Sarandon. Who else would think to make that ridiculous noise? One thing I like about Fright Night is how Jerry Dandridge, the ostensible villain of the story, goes so far out of his way not to start shit with Charlie Brewster. He breaks into his room in the middle of the night, has him at his mercy, but then is nice enough to let him off with a warning. He basically says to him, hey, you leave me alone and let me kill these hookers in peace, and I won't rip your throat out. That seems like a pretty fair compromise, right? Later, Dandridge goes through this whole ruse of trying to prove he's not a vampire by drinking what very well could have turned out to be real holy water. Again, all to avoid having to murder this kid. What other vampire is that considerate? Jerry Dandridge, as a newer, more modern breed of vampire, is especially conscious of keeping up appearances, even if the film does contradict this at times, like when Jerry freaks out and throws some bouncers around in a club, or when he not so subtly threatens Charlie right in front of his friends and family.
Of course, now that I've been made welcome, I'll probably drop by quite a bit. In fact, anytime I feel like it.
Come on, who says that? That's not even innuendo. That's just crazy. Even so, all things considered, Jerry Dandridge is actually a pretty reasonable guy, apart from the whole murdering people thing. But no, Charlie Brewster just can't leave well enough alone. Growing up, one of the first things that stuck in my mind about Fright Night was of course the special effects. I'm not sure vampires have ever looked as gritty or as gnarly before or since. Their appearance is always changing, often in the very same scene, so that there's the sense of them as these sort of wily, unpredictable monsters. Jerry Dandridge's final terrifying visage makes for a stark contrast with the cool, debonair persona he wields throughout the majority of the film. So the special effects are definitely one of the big hooks for the film, but another thing, and it's something you'll find in common with almost every horror movie that has stood the test of time, is the cast. I don't think you can overlook the power of a good cast in a horror movie, and a director who knows what to do with them. Everybody in Fright Night is just a little bit weird, a little bit off. Chris Sarandon has the looks and the charisma of a classical leading man, but mixed with the squirrely eccentricities of a character actor. Roddy McDowall has never given a bad or unmemorable performance in his life and hits the right mix of humor, sympathy, and vanity as Peter Vincent. That's one of the things that I think sets Fright Night apart, is you do have these older, more experienced actors who do have so much presence, and which adds a different dynamic than if you were just watching a bunch of dweebs run around like in so many other horror movies. Then again, that's not to discount the rest of the cast. Amanda Beers really sells the transformation from mousy girl next door to lusty vampire bride. William Ragsdale holds his own well enough against his better-known, more experienced co-stars, and Stephen Geoffreys brings a convincing sad clown sort of vibe to Evil Ed, though I think they could have given him at least one more additional scene towards the beginning of the film, actually showing him getting bullied or picked on, so that his meeting with Jerry Dandridge in the alleyway might have a bit more dramatic context. One thing I noticed in my recent rewatch of Fright Night that I think went completely over my head every other time is just how gay this movie is. Now, to preface all this, I'm not saying that I think any one character in Fright Night is literally secretly gay within the literal text of the film, only that somewhere in the realm of metaphor, in that dark, frothy meeting place between art and the subconscious, something very Greco-Roman seems to be going on in Fright Night.
My luck? It's probably gay.
No, I don't think so.
A young man is about to finally consummate his relationship with his girlfriend when he's distracted by the sudden arrival of a handsome older gentleman and his, live-in carpenter next door. The younger man is curious, excited, and more than a little frightened of this older man's secretive lifestyle, culminating in a vicarious sexual encounter in which he learns the full, horrifying truth that the man is gay, I mean a vampire. Later, Jerry Dandridge sneaks into Charlie's room whistling Strangers in the Night. Then, out of everywhere he could have chosen to hide, this guy comes out of the closet to confront him. Dandridge then throws Charlie into the closet, breaking the door, breaking the final barrier between desire and denial. After that, however, Dandridge is, again, fairly reasonable in offering Charlie a truce. Dandridge wants to preserve his secrecy. He's your upwardly mobile homosexual of the 1980s, not quite in the closet, but still wanting to maintain a certain measure of private suburban decorum. Charlie isn't having it, though. He's seen too much, he's too excited, and has to repress those feelings at all cost. Charlie manages to fend Dandridge off, and then while Billy tends to Dandridge's wounds, we get this curious bit of blocking.
But that's nothing compared to what I'm gonna do to you.
Then, of course, there's this scene with Evil Ed.
You don't have to be afraid of me. I know what it's like being different.
When he's not sucking on people's blood, Jerry Dandridge is always chomping on an apple or an orange, a fruit bat, if you will. That one is probably incidental, but then I'm not so sure about this conspicuously framed sign that reads Girls' Locker Room hanging right behind Amanda Beers and Stephen Joffreys, who, along with Roddy McDowall, all played for the other team. While researching the gay subtext of the movie Fright Night, I came across two videos by a great YouTube channel called Proper Horrorshow. I want to recommend these videos because she picked up on a few things that I didn't. The apple as a symbol of temptation, Charlie trying to pray the gay away, whatever else I might have to say about the potential gay subtext of Fright Night, Proper Horrorshow has already said it, and probably better than I could. Her channel in general is pretty good, so check it out. Keep in mind, this is all just one interpretation. Another, more traditional interpretation of the film might go something like this. At the beginning of the film, Charlie's girlfriend Amy is reluctant to have sex with him, maybe in part because she knows he's an adolescent goofball who spends too much time watching horror movies. It isn't until Amy meets Jerry Dandridge, confident, suave, in control, aka a real man, that she becomes more in tune with her sensuality. In seducing Amy, Jerry Dandridge makes Charlie Brewster into a cuckold. His greatest revenge for Charlie not minding his own business is humiliation. If Charlie wants to get Amy back, he has to leave the world of boyish fantasy behind and enter the real blood and guts world of men. He has to slay the dragon. Getting cucked by a vampire is a trope that goes all the way back to Dracula, but it works especially well in Fright Night because you never really know to what extent Amy might be hypnotized or not. To reiterate how great Chris Sarandon is, he does a lot with his eyes, and in this scene especially, which seems to suggest he's not hypnotizing her at all. He just has too much riz. How might getting cucked by a vampire have affected Charlie and Amy's relationship after the fact? Listen, don't worry about it. All's well that ends well. Now, of these two interpretations of Fright Night, neither one necessarily contradicts the other. The common denominator between the whole thing is Jerry Dandridge and the vampire in general as this undead manifestation of desire, drawing everyone around him into a vortex of sin and temptation. The melting flesh and horrific transformations then serve as a sort of come-down from Jerry Dandridge's steamy sensuality, suggesting the dark consequences of unfettered carnality. Okay, I think that's about all I have to say about Fright Night. One of my favorite movies, one of the best. If you made it this far and if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, why don't you? Does it glow? Does it light up when I say subscribe? Look down at the little button that says subscribe. When I say subscribe, does it glow? Does it light up? I was watching another video and it did that. It was very astonishing to me. The future is a terrifying place. Anyway, subscribe. I write books if you like books. Go read my books, why don't you? Anyway, in conclusion, Fright Night is a really good movie.